a question to pass along to Katie here. With this witness, and again, there were three other witnesses earlier in the week, and they all testified that they saw Bridge Guy. And state police and the prosecutor insist Bridge Guy is the defendant, is Richard Allen. So you had three people in the courtroom, now four with Sarah Clarbaugh, right. Four people who say on the afternoon of these murders, they saw Bridge Guy, and yet at the defense table, just a few feet in front of all these witnesses, is the man that the state says is Bridge Guy, and yet not once have we ever heard the prosecutors ask those witnesses, is the man sitting right there, is that Bridge Guy? And I'm curious to get Katie's take, Scott, about is that good legal strategy? Because I'm wondering if the jury has the same questions that I do, why they wouldn't be doing it.
Here's why they wouldn't be doing it, and here's why they can't do it. Now listen to this and check it out.
That everybody, not only in the courtroom, but also those of us who are watching your coverage, want to know, is Bridge Guy Richard Allen? Has the state been able to say, in front of this jury, Bridge Guy is Richard Allen? And what are these witnesses that are testifying? What are they saying about the man that they saw?
Yeah, Scott, we just completed day 4 of testimony, and other than opening statements, Richard Allen's name has not been uttered by either the prosecution or the defense. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit, but you asked about the people who saw Bridge Guy. We heard today testimony from 3 separate women who say that they are confident that they saw Bridge Guy either on the Monon High Bridge or walking on the path leading to the bridge in really the hour or so leading up to when investigators think the murders actually happened. So I can tell you that Riley Voorhees and Breanne Wilbur, 2 of the women who testified, they're women now. They were teenagers back when this happened. They were actually classmates at Delphi High School of the 2 victims. They testified they were out on the path together on the day of the murders, and they say that they saw who was later identified as Bridge Guy. We also heard from Betsy Blair. She's a woman who frequently in 2016 and 2017 said that she went to the trails around the Monon High Bridge and the Freedom Bridge to walk and get exercise, doing 3 loops from one bridge to the other several days a week. And she was on the trails on the day of the murders, and she says that she saw Bridge Guy, and they are confident. I want to show you some of the quotes, some of the things that they directly told the jury today. Riley said, after she saw the image of Bridge Guy released by state police, she said, I can say with confidence, the person in the picture is the person that I saw out on the trail that day, actually closer to the Freedom Bridge, but not a long distance from the Monon High Bridge. Breanne Wilbur said, that is the person we passed on the trail, as she referenced the picture of Bridge Guy that the jury was seeing. And Betsy Blair said, I immediately knew when I saw that photo that was released by state police, that was the man I saw on the bridge. So that seemed to be some very positive identification as far as these 3 witnesses, not necessarily saying that they saw Richard Allen, but saying that they saw Bridge Guy. However, there's a big problem here for the defense because of the next testimony that they gave, and that testimony came...
He misspoke. It's not a big problem for the defense. He just misspoke. I want to address that right now.
And she really pounded away on the reports, the testimony that all 3 of these women gave in the days just after the murders took place, and how they described Bridge Guy at that time. And so I want to show you some of the things that they said, those descriptions that were brought up in court today. They described Bridge Guy back then as, Riley said, a larger man. Another one of them said a tall man, and not short is what we heard from Betsy Blair. They described him, Bridge Guy, as someone in his 20s or 30s. And Riley Voorhees said early 20s or 30s. He was described as muscular. Betsy Blair said Bridge Guy was boyish and youthful in appearance. We also heard him describe Bridge Guy as someone with brown, poofy hair by these women who say that they passed him and they saw him on the trails on the days of the murder. Why is that such a big problem? Well, because those descriptions offered in court today by these three witnesses of Bridge Guy don't match the defendant sitting at the defense table, the man who is accused of these crimes.
It is undisputed and it cannot be refuted that the four witnesses in which the state of Indiana called upon to testify for the prosecution of the state actually gave exculpatory testimony in evidence for Richard Allen and his defense team. The four eyewitnesses to the Bridge Guy in 2017 on the day of the murders of Abby and Libby testified that Richard Allen did not match the Bridge Guy that they saw. Therefore, Richard Allen on day 4 of his jury trial effectively won the trial. I'ma say it again, Richard Allen will be found not guilty. The defense should move for a direct verdict after the prosecution case in chief. Now let me continue. Remember when they arrested Richard Allen and put him in jail and didn't tell the public, hid the arrest on the docket? They did this here because of two reasons. There was no probable cause to issue a search warrant, and there was never any probable cause to arrest him. This is why they did it, people. So when you look at these so-called probable cause affidavits for arrest, it's nothing there. It's all manufactured. This is how you know that the probable cause for the arrest and search warrant is bogus, because the four witnesses that testified on day 4, they gave a description that did not match Richard Allen, and they knew this. Now, remember when I told y'all that they wanted Richard Allen out of the county jail into a prison so they can put psychotropic drugs and manipulate him into a confession? Well, how you think I know that would happen? Well, I'm going to tell you how I knew. When there is no evidence, you have to manufacture evidence. I called that. Nobody else called it. I called it, and I'm calling a not guilty verdict. When they got him down there, they began to manufacture this evidence because they know that all the other evidence that they had would not carry the day. So what they did, they trumped it up. He gave a confession. He confessed with his wife. Then they try to go into detail and say, hey, he confessed and he gave details only the killer would know. Well, we found out there are no details that he gave. The question today that everybody should be asking themselves, why would Richard Allen confess to a crime but can't tell the police or the public exactly how he did it? It's because he didn't do it. The evidence show he didn't do it. They done searched this man's home. They could not find anything. Nobody in his family, his wife, or nobody has turned state against him. They know that they done effed up. They know it. And they know they can be sued. So they are desperate. They are desperate for a conviction that will never happen. Now, let's leave the prison setting. Well, that's something that I already called. I was just bringing it to your attention. Remember when Judge Diener was on the case? People calling. He said he getting off the case. He recusing himself because people calling for blood. Nope. That's not the reason why he got off the case. He got off the case because this man was acting outside of his judicial capacity. See, when they arrested Richard Allen, he participated in interrogating and accusing Richard Allen, and he participated in depriving this man of an attorney, depriving this man of a public forum. So he already knew that he had to get off the case because he could be sued, because you're no longer acting in your judicial capacity as a judge when you arrest someone and then you start stepping out the bounds of the law. See, you can only act as a judge as long as you within the bounds of the law. Anything outside the law, you're not acting as a judge. And he knew that he wasn't acting as a judge. Now, when you look at the fact that they got this unspent bullet, there is no evidence that this is Richard Allen bullet. There's no evidence, period. Now, when you look at the fact there is no cell phone records that place Richard Allen in the area, none of this. And when you look at the fact that the picture that one of the girls supposed to took of the bridge guy, they let it be known that they did not get this out of her phone. You can log into any other account and show this. So the state from the beginning, they never had a case against Richard Allen. They absolutely had no evidence to arrest him. This is why for 5 years they never focused on Richard Allen. No one has ever came forward to say this is Richard Allen. But here's what they did. They used a narrative. He was at the Walgreens or some drugstore. He offered to process the pictures for free. See, they use all this nonsense to try to make it look like this man was guilty. Now you see that none of that matters. The fact is, no one described Richard Allen. And throughout this whole case, you had people kept saying, that was Richard Allen. He's trying to change his walk. He's trying to walk different. Well, the 4 eyewitnesses described somebody totally different than Richard Allen. And so I expect a not guilty verdict because there is absolutely no legal or factual sufficiency of the evidence that would sustain a guilty verdict of guilty, because it would be overturned on appeal. The jury is wise enough to see that the guy that y'all got, according to the evidence, is not that guy. Remember, the prosecution say he had help. So if he had help and he confessed, why don't they know these facts? It's because the confessions are manufactured, as I stated would happen. My name is Speak Van Holden, 247 ETC. I'm one of the greatest legal minds in the world. I call that. Don't get mad at me. Don't hate me. Don't hate the game. Study hard, study long, and you'll know like I know. I'm signing off. Good morning, and welcome back to Speak Van Holden, 247 ETC.
Old man on the corner, selling pencils from a cup. Big man giving out orders, turns to us, says, listen up. Listen. Oh, we're gonna die here. You gotta get out when you can. So you better say goodbye, dear. Come on, get in the van. Take a drive.